Exactly, it looks like my dog.
Oh, what a cute dog.
That's my daughter.
Is that a Shiba?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
你可能不认识这个大叔，但他导演和编剧的动画你一定看过，《疯狂原始人》、《驯龙高手》、《美女与野兽》、《花木兰》。对了，他还是史蒂奇之父。
It is really a very exciting moment for me. I'm very familiar with your stories, but it is the first time I have met their creators.
不过他这一次的新作《荒野机器人》却和以往都不相同。
There's no other film on earth that looks like this film.
Yes.
And I'm glad you said the thing about the big screen too, because sitting in a theater and seeing it really big, you really understand.
带着好奇，我去看了电影的首映。这是一个超级暖心治愈的故事。一个机器人误入荒岛，偶然救下了一只小雁，没想到小雁把它当成了妈妈。
I do not have the programming. No one does. It needs to swim and fly.
在这过程当中，它逐渐拥有了亲情、友情以及大自然赋予的独特灵性。然而人类终究找到了它，它将如何选择自己的归属呢
So my question is, how do you decide? Because there are so many good stories out there.
I like stories that are more subtle, that have characters that have all sorts of flaws, so that they are very dimensional.
Actually, I read the book before watching the movie.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, frankly speaking, when I read the book is great. But I also had a little bit of concern because you know the language of the book is very simple. So I was worried that when it is directly adapted to a movie, it may seem too flat or simple or weak. But yesterday, after I saw it on the big screen, I should say my concern is totally gone because there are so many original details. I'm wondering how those details be invented.
Animation takes a long time to make, so we have enough time that we can develop characters and we add things and we take things away, so we're always changing things. Look at it, I think, almost like a sculpture. You work on it and you turn it and you keep changing it.
Did you perhaps order a Rosem Helper robot?
Where do you think you're going?
You know, one of the things that we added to the story that was not in the book, and it's very, very important, Roz has a transmitter on the top of her head.
Yeah.
I added that to the story so that we understand where she is emotionally. Meaning, when she realizes for the first time that she's in the wrong place, she activates the transmitter immediately and she wants to leave. Now she gets interrupted and she gets, kept, accidentally hit by, she doesn't get to go. So she's delayed.
Yeah.
Later on in the movie, the transmitter, of course, gets broken and she can't leave. But by the time she replaces it, she doesn't activate it. She waits. And we know now that she's conflicted. She doesn't necessarily want to leave anymore.
So how did you invent it? You
golly.
invented during your walk or?
A lot of times I just listen to music and I'll take a bike ride. You don't always have the best ideas when you're sitting at a desk and it's time to be clever. You just can't do it.
That's me. That's me.
这部动画里有超级多可爱的动物，我最喜欢的就是狐狸 Fink。
Swimming's easy. Swim!
当然了，喜欢它还有一个原因。
It looks exactly like my dog.
Oh, what a cute dog!
Do you think that it looks like very much like Fink?
Yeah, a lot.
In the book, Fink was just one of the animals, but on the screen, he became indispensable.
I liked him so much from the book because of exactly the things you said. He manipulates Roz and he takes advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
But I always felt from the first moment that I read the book that there was more to him and that he had a lot of feelings that he hid. If he doesn't think only of himself, he won't live to see another day. So they have to be selfish.
You need to learn how things work on this island.
But later on, he reveals another dimension to himself, and that's one of the reasons I really love him as a character, because you understand later why he is the way he is, and then by the end of the movie, I think I just fall in love with him, and I want to take him home.
不知道你有没有发现啊 ，Fink 是手绘的。其实不仅 Fink， 其他动物、天空、山石这些也都是手绘的。如果你在大荧幕上看，那是非常震撼的效果。在 CG 在动画领域被广泛运用的今天 ，Chris 却坚持让荒野机器人回归手绘，只有一个例外，那就是主角 Ross。She
starts as a CG element, and we did that on purpose, because all the animals have a hand-painted surface, except Roz, but only in the beginning. The longer she spends on the island, and the longer, the deeper into the film you get, we replace her surface with a painted surface. So by the end of the movie, by the third act, she is as painted as any of the other animals because she begins to become a creature of the island without really even knowing it. And by the end of the film, she belongs there.
但是，尽管融合 CG 和手绘这个概念听起来很简单，要真的去做却有重重困难，因为这两者的流程完全不同。那究竟需要怎么做呢？
So could you please tell us in simple terms that what are the difficulties of blending these two together? 'Cause
They did a demonstration one day. I went to the theater, and on the screen there was a guy who was sitting at a pad, and he began painting. And on screen, paint strokes began to appear. And then he turned it, and he kept painting, and he turned it again.
Wow.
And so he was not just painting on a flat surface; he was painting dimensionally.
So painting like CG.
100%.
Wow.
And the big difference is, in CG films up to this point, we had to have like a wire frame. You have to have geometry. The animals do have geometry underneath them because they have rigging, so they move shapes. But we finally were able to let go of that with the backgrounds, and it made a huge difference because we were free to paint things. The funny thing is, it's a very handmade film.
Yes.
Human-made. More human-made, I think, than any other CG film I've ever been involved in.
如果说手绘为这部动画注入了自然的灵性，那么声音无疑为角色带来了独特的生命力。
I do not have the programming. He needs to swim and fly.
Swimming's easy. I can teach him the way my mom taught me. Swim!
Because yesterday you also mentioned that during the process you have to rewrite the lines many times with the actress. Why is that?
Actually, yeah, it's one of the really wonderful things about this process is it's very collaborative. So I'll write a character before we cast the film so that we understand the nature of the character. But when an actor joins us, they have, their individual voice, and we customize it. Think of it like a suit. Like I can make a suit so that's like, oh, I get it. Like this is a tuxedo, so it's very formal. But then when the person shows up, you have to tailor it so it fits them. And beyond that, they have their opinions and feelings, and we want that.
Bright Bill was never supposed to get this far.
Hello, bonjour, Pajambo. I am Gosling 0186. Right.
Actually, you've been a writer and a creator all your life. So I'm wondering, how did you find this passion? What made you decide that you want to enter this industry?
When I was a little kid, I loved to draw. I think most kids love to draw, and but my dad really encouraged it. He drew, and he painted. Just not professionally, but he just did it for fun, and I was very impressed by that. I thought if a grown-up does this, then it's pretty cool. When I was a little kid, he said, "There's a limit to what you can build, but you can draw anything." And I thought that was really beautiful and interesting. I also used to write stories, but they weren't really stories. They were kind of nonsense, and it made me happy to do that. But I didn't really understand how a story worked. When I went to college, I took a story class. And it was the first time.
Save the cat.
Yeah, and I remember asking the instructor, "What is a story?" And he said, "Oh, that's easy. A story is change." And that really made an impression on me. So a story is a character that changes through a journey, or a character that changes the world around them, or both. So that was a very important moment for me.
短短半小时的访谈，其实还有很多我想问却来不及问的问题。为了表达我们的敬意，团队准备了一个小礼物——文房四宝。
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how excited I am by this because I've always wanted to try this.
You never tried this before?
I've never tried it, but I'll go and find privacy so if I mess it up, nobody has to see.
最后一点时间，我们聊起了国漫。
So I heard yesterday you have just watched the Chang'an 30,000 miles. That was a great one.
I'm not quite done. I'm a couple hours in, and
whoever choose that for you have a very good taste.
对了，我还给导演推荐了《中国奇谭》。
You see, this is the animation I want to recommend to you. In one of the episode, you see, it is purely made of and the story itself is also very good. It has a translation. Yeah, just it looks very traditional, but
这次采访对我而言是收获满满的经历。祝愿导演一切顺利，也 也希望荒野机器人能陪伴更多朋友走过一段暖心治愈之旅。